So aren't they getting along swimmingly? No, honestly, they're doing well. They're doing good. They're now best buds. Anyway, straight into the meat and potatoes. A lot of information coming out at the moment in the Idaho student murders. Brian Enton has spoken to Kaylee Goncalves, I've been told that's pronounced. He has spoken to their family, and they spoke briefly about Stalker. And look, and we're going to get to more of this in a second because this could be telling. But look, the family have turned around and said, look, these were an attractive bunch of girls. They got a lot of attention. So to say whether there was a specific stalker is difficult because it's trying to, I don't know, find the wheat amongst the chaff, so to speak. So it's difficult to say. Did they get attention? Yes, in abundance. Is there a stalker? Cannot be confirmed. But does this now make sense? What is coming out is that it was, in fact, not Madison who sustained the most horrendous injuries, but it was indeed Kaylee. Now, look, this must be very, very difficult for the family to have to hear this kind of stuff, but ultimately the family want justice. They want to know what happened, and they want justice to be served. And in order for that to happen, look, people have got to put pressure where pressure needs to be placed and get the job done. Now, we've heard numerous things over the last few days about kind of the route that the killer would have taken, needed to take. You know, the parents had come out and they'd said, look, there was no need for them to go upstairs. But when you think that Kaylee was the one who sustained the most injuries, and she was in fact with Madison in, now it was actually said that she was in Madison's room, not Kaylee's room. So here's a map here of the house, and this is the room where this took place. But, here is where things get awfully complex, because what you've got to think is, right, so you've got two females on the third floor together in the same room, and you've got one of these girls that has got horrendous injuries. So I would say that it would be fair that the order here would have been Maddie first. Maddie is attacked first, and that is then finished. And then the killer takes her attention and time on Kaylee. Because what is the alternative if the injuries are so different? Is that what they start with Kaylee because she's the target, but then they wake Madison. They then have to take care of Madison and then go back to continue on Kaylee. But the fact that there is so many injuries and they are so differing on Kaylee, it does point to the fact that Kaylee was the target here. So then you do have to really look at what would have made her the primary target. Now, does this then force the killer downstairs, or did the killer hear somebody and then head downstairs to dispatch anybody who could have been a witness? We're hearing that Ethan was not killed in the room, but in fact in the doorway of the room is where he was found. So had Ethan heard something, had he come out of the room, met the killer then takes care of Ethan, has no choice then but to go into the room and take care of Xana. Was this, again, I've said this numerous times, is this simply just the wrong place at the wrong time? Is the fact that Ethan woke up and left the room to see what was happening, is that what would ultimately sign his death warrant? There's a lot happening. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of speculation, and people are going to speculate. Just remember, speculation doesn't harm cases. We can look into things, we can listen to things, we can have an opinion on them. So for all those people who say that the true crime niche is going to destroy this case, harm this case, it's not going to happen. People have speculated for years and years and years and years and years, and in fact, the true crime niche has done good in some cases. Are they going to be able to make a massive difference in this case? I don't think so. All it does is it makes the likes of law enforcement know that the eyes are upon them. But this information regarding the injuries sustained by Kaylee, it is a massive, massive key in this story. Because if law enforcement have this information, obviously they're going to have a lot more than what we do. You know, we get what we get, but they have what they have, and they have the evidence to back that up. We've heard there's been hundreds and hundreds of photographs taken. They've got evidence. It would have seemed that they've got DNA matching across all of the victims, so they have a lot to go on. And indeed, if they can, with confidence, say that Kaylee was the primary target, and the rest were just collateral, if you like. And I say that not to take anything away from the fact that these people lost their lives, but the fact that this killer entered this property to do something specific, then, you know, hopefully that can whittle down exactly who did it and why they did it. But it is going to take people who knew Kaylee, who knew what was going on around her, the people who she confided in most. Now, the sad thing is the people that she confided in most is likely going to be Madison. And, you know, would Kaylee have spoken out to anybody else? We may find that in the future. That might indeed be the way in which this killer is brought to justice. Is the killer going to be brought to justice? Now, I think the fact that this does appear to have been such an emotional, such a rage-fueled attack, and we seem to be getting closer to seeing who the primary target was, I think that is ultimately going to be the thing that brings this to a conclusion. Because, you know, it kind of clears up a lot of things. If, you know, when law enforcement are saying they don't know who was the target, whether they were targeted, whether the property was targeted, you can see why people then lose a bit of hope. Now, the family, they have stated that they are quite frustrated at times. Sometimes it looked like law enforcement are on the right path, and this is in their words via the Brian Enton interview. They turned around and said, look, sometimes they'll do something and we do feel they're on the right track. Then they'll do something else, or they'll ignore a piece of information and we think, look, that needed to be looked into a bit more. But look, the families have obviously got information. Law enforcement have got information. We're getting bits of information that are painting a picture. But, you know, for this to be, is this an isolated incident? Was this a targeted attack? I think I can say with some confidence with what we know now that this is very likely to have been an isolated attack and a targeted one at that. Furthermore, what I will say is this. Now, someone did this. Now, if this was isolated and targeted, then what we are also saying is that is likely to be someone around this area. Someone who is known to not only the victims, but the survivors and the people around this bunch of people and the people on the peripheral. So what people need to be looking at, is there someone who is acting out of the ordinary? Was there someone acting out of the ordinary leading up to what happened? Is there someone who has disappeared, has vanished, has fucked off into the ether, and we no longer know where they are or what they're doing? Because, like I say, for this to be targeted, for this to have such anguish, such hatred in it, then it would be very hard for someone to completely hide that. There must be someone around this area that some people can think, hold on, something isn't right here. And you also have to question, has this person got people around them? Does someone else know what this person did? And are they helping to shield them from justice? Let me know what you think. We've seen other cases. We've had questions within them cases. Look how long it took for the Delphi murders to kind of get to where it is now. And you still have to ask the question, you know, even though the perpetrator in that, he had a family. Did the family know? Did the wife know? Was she hiding things for him? It's very difficult to be a lone wolf and nobody notice that you're a lone wolf and to not suspect you. But if you've got help, if you've got support, and you can fit in with the crowd, makes it harder to find. Is there someone who sticks out as the loner? Is there someone who has now gone off grid? Let me know down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one.